Hello again. I will not tell viewers how much I have to pay in income tax each year, but it's not a huge amount. However, if I am a minute late with shelling out what the Inland Revenue says that I owe them, then they start putting the frighteners on me and warning me about unlimited fines and possibly prison if I try to deceive them. I suspect that many of those watching this video could tell similar stories about how ruthless the Treasury is about getting their cut of the money which we earn. It is a fact of life for ordinary people. When the Inland Revenue send you one of those buff envelopes, then you'd better sit up and take notice. Of course, all this only applies to the little people. For those who are multimillionaires or whose wives are richer than the King of England, I think Rishi Sunak knows who I'm talking about here, quite a different set of rules applies. It has now emerged that while he was Chancellor of the Exchequer last year, Nadhim Zahawi, who is of course still in the cabinet, actually owed the Treasury more than £3 million, which they had spent a long time trying to get out of him. The idea that the Chancellor, the man responsible for the country's finances and keeping the books balanced, should have been in such a tremendous pickle over his taxes is almost beyond belief. At least it would have been beyond belief a few years ago, but these days it seems to be par for the course. Mind, the Inland Revenue did not seem to be about to prosecute Zahawi for his actions. I suspect that if they found out that I had been hiding £3 million worth in taxes from them, then they would have been a good deal less forgiving. But there we are. I am not one of the new elite, who, by the by, seem chiefly to be born abroad. Nadhim Zahawi and Boris Johnson are outstanding examples of the breed. Zahawi is stupendously rich, of course. His personal fortune is estimated at £100 million, but that's nothing compared to Rishi Sunak and his wife, who are worth around £750 million. Last year, before he became Prime Minister, Sunak was, of course, also Chancellor of the Exchequer. He had at that time a US green card, which meant that he was obliged to file tax returns in the United States. This was, to say the least of it, an odd situation for a British Chancellor to be in. His wife was non-domiciled for tax purposes at that time, which meant that she paid no taxes at all in this country. This kind of thing is rather an innovation for Chancellors of the Exchequer in Britain. One cannot really imagine Gordon Brown, John Major, or, going back a little further, Denis Healey getting up to such tricks. Of course, the Chancellor before Sunak, Sajid Javid, was also non-domiciled for tax purposes for many years. Call me old-fashioned if you will, but I like to think that if the Treasury are making me pay my taxes, then they're also expecting the Chancellor of the Exchequer to pay his. A quaint idea, I agree, but then I'm pretty old and I can remember a time when politics was a little more honourable than is now the case. My own theory is this. Just as we have had to introduce the idea of people needing passports to vote in this country because of the corrupt practices of some immigrants, so too are we going to need to have new rules for politicians because those from immigrant families do not seem to be playing by the traditional rules of the game. I do not say that all such people are corrupt and sleazy, but I do have the strong impression that they are carrying on in a way which would once have been regarded as quite unacceptable. I'm not talking merely about obeying the rules, but about behaving in an honourable way. It may well turn out that Nadim Zahawi has somehow stayed within the letter of the law, but I think we can all agree that it is not how we really want a Chancellor of the Exchequer to carry on.